The next question I got a little bit on was about visual effects, particularly for snow and for rain. So let's talk a little bit about particle systems. I'm going to create a totally empty object. I'm going to call it particles. You can see I already have a scene here because we were looking at snow, or I was asked about snow. So I've got a couple of really, totally basic trees with colliders. We have a collider with a plane here that's just totally white. We have an empty game object called particles. We're going to add a particle system. If you don't see it, just type in particles in the search. And what you'll get is this very silly cloud of pink moving off into the distance. So there's a couple things that we can do really nicely with particles. So when I move this object up, all of the particles come with it. Since we're talking about something like snow, we can turn this down, move it 90 degrees, 90, 0, 0 will be fine. And now it's pouring through our terrain here. I'm going to raise this up quite a bit more so it's more like this. So not quite snow and not quite what we want because it's all coming out of this center. So particle systems have an absolutely massive number of customization options. Emissions, shapes, velocity over time, limit velocity, inherent velocity, lifetime by speed, force, color over lifetime, color by speed, rotation, noise, collision. And for something like snow, we're only going to touch a couple of these. In particular, I'd like to take a look at emission, and just for the moment, we're going to slow it way down. So this will be about 1 second, and it'll be okay. And you can see these coming down. The next thing that we can do is we can take a look at these options here. We've got a duration, but it loops, so the duration is somewhat irrelevant. We have a size and a rotation. We have some randomness and our velocity as well. These, for the most part, since we're not doing anything that's reacting to, we're not using gravity, we're not forcing something to occur on collision. We're not really going to touch many of these. We're not altering the simulation in any way. We do want to take a look at the shape here. This is the shape of the emitter, not of the particles. That's really important. For something like snow, it's going to pretty much come all over. Let's just take a look at rectangle. That's a little small. Let's make it quite a bit bigger here. That'll be X and Y because we're working in 2D. So now we're really getting there. Look at that. Almost there already. Don't really need to align them at all. I do want them to collide, so I'm going to click on collision, and something very funny is about to happen, I'm sure. Oh, it does not want to collide. That's fine. If we collide with the world, now they'll bounce off. So we don't want them to bounce. So we need to lower the max kill speed. So this is things that are going faster than this speed are killed when they're colliding. This is enormously high. So we'll change this down. So now they disappear when colliding with the ground. That can be really useful. This makes sure it never snows indoors. Even on something like Skyrim, if it's raining outside, it rains indoors. Some of the time, not all of the time, but pretty frequently they have that issue. So we have an advantage over Skyrim. How about that? But let's change what that looks like. This is the missing texture. It's bright magenta. But what I have prepared here already is a single white pixel. 1 by 1 flat white pixel with absolutely no other information in it. A single white pixel, which happens to be perfect for snow. When you come back to these particle systems, make sure you don't touch texture under shape Need to close up shape and close up emission for now. Well, I'll keep emission open, but close shape when you're done with it, or else you're going to definitely make the mistake that I almost just did. Then we need to create a material. That material is going to be M snow, just fine. And we're going to plug in that single white pixel into the color map of M snow here. Go back to our particles, put M snow into our materials here. And it's okay, it's a little too large. We want it to be quite a bit smaller than this. But we're getting there. There's something... Let's see. There shouldn't be any alpha, but let's see. So it's still coming down. Let's see if we can shrink the size of the particle. So that is around here somewhere that I need to remember. It's the size of the emitter. The maximum number of particles. Start size. Let's call it 0.1. 0.1. Changing our start size is going to be really nice. So we're looking quite a bit like snow already. I'm going to change this material so that it emits. It's nice and bright snow. Our little single pixels. Have it be a little bit specular. Render on both faces so that you never miss it. We're in billboard mode, so you wouldn't miss it anyway, but we're starting to get there. It's going to disappear. Let's go to emission up here, and let's make it snow nice and heavily. And we can change this rate over time to whatever it is that we want for our particular scene. But for all intents and purposes, this is snow. If you would like to use a different texture, if you find or make a snowflake texture of some sort, all you have to do is exactly the same thing as what I've done with white pixel, is throw it into a material, put it in the base map, maybe change the emission if you want it to be a little brighter, if your scene is sunny, you want it to kind of fake reflecting that light, and particles come down. You guys can do an enormous amount with this. I use this for fire, I use this for snow, I use this for rain. If we wanted to do this, if we wanted this to be particularly rainy, I would consider keeping it pretty dark. Quite dark, actually. And then keep the emission the same. So that's going to be real nice and dark. I'd also probably extend the white pixel to be 2, maybe 3 pixels for that kind of raindrop effect. And then we drastically increase the speed. And speed was here just a moment ago. I found it. I had found it. Where is speed? Start speed. There we go. So if we really increase that speed to something like 50, then it really comes down. And then if we increase the emission, so now it's absolutely pouring, probably a bit too fast. But this could be close to some basic rain. We probably want it to be quite a bit smaller, so we can shrink this down. Start size 0.05, even 0.1. 0.1's a little bit too small to see. 0.25, and then if we're down here, it's raining. Fair enough. You could definitely add a better texture for this, for some kind of raindrop, and then plug it into material, where I have M snow there. But that's kind of the basics of particle systems. There's tons of them on the asset store for you to play with, and then just find the option that you need and play with it. They're all really self-explanatory. The only thing that might be confusing is this shape. That is the emitter shape. That's where they're coming from. I also would not change their scale. The the scale of this particle emitter, definitely don't do that. Don't touch it. But I can make it rain in any direction I want. I can make it pour rain sideways, even, to simulate wind, just by affecting this. I can make it rain up if I wanted to, which is perfect for things like fire and smoke. So play with it and see what you can come up with.